Today we're talking about housing affordability and why right now may or may not be a good time to be buying a house. When we talk about affordability, there's 4 key variables that make up how affordable a home actually is: income, interest rates, home prices, and housing supply. Home prices are something that's on a lot of people's minds right now. What I keep hearing is, well, if nobody can afford to buy, how come home prices keep going up? Well, first off, nobody can afford to buy is kind of an overstatement. Maybe you can afford it on paper, but if you can find an okay place to rent for a lower monthly payment, you might just decide to wait. This is happening quite a bit. Or maybe you own a home and you want a bigger place, but you don't like how much drastically higher your monthly payment's going to be by upgrading. So home prices are expected to go up 4 to 6% this year in 2023, and then stay pretty flat from 2024 through 2027. That's what the experts are saying, and a big part of that is housing supply. There's been a shortage the last several years, not enough homes for sale. Now, this is happening for several reasons, and some of those reasons are not likely to be solved right away. First off, when someone puts their house on the market, that doesn't automatically mean that the housing supply is increased by 1 unit. Why not? Well, most of the time when someone sells a home, they buy a home. That means it's neutral. They just churned the supply. They didn't really add to it. They would have to sell their home and then move into an apartment or maybe in their parents' basement or somewhere that's not counted in the housing supply for it to truly add a unit to the supply. The thing that does have a big impact is new construction, because it actually does add a new unit to the housing supply. Right now, this isn't helping much because new housing starts are down. And they probably will be down for a while because of the high interest rates. And builders couldn't keep up with the demographics right now anyway. Here's a chart of the number of births in the U.S. over the last several generations. Now, the average age of a first-time homebuyer is 33, so if you go back and take a look at what was happening in 1990, you'll see there was an increase. That means there are more homebuyer-age people existing in the United States than there have been over the last 3 decades. The millennials buying homes should be peaking over the next 3 or 4 years, so that'll help supply, but take a look at what's been happening over the last 15 years. The orange is a new housing unit being built, and the blue is a new household being created. Now, a household is created when a kid moves out of their parents' house, or a family gets divorced, or anything where you have one group of people living in one unit and now it takes 2 houses to house them. You can see that after the housing crash of 07 and 08, the home builders stopped building homes at a pace that was keeping up with the demand. There was a bit of an oversupply, so it didn't really matter for a while, but now we have 8 solid years of this. It's an actual problem. There's another interesting potential curveball that might have some impact on housing supply, which is this: how many sellers decide to rent out their home because they have such a low interest rate and payment on it instead of selling it. Then they buy a new home, which would actually take a unit out of the housing supply. I've talked to quite a few people who have never been landlords, never wanted to invest in real estate, but they're considering this because they have such low monthly payments. So back to our topic, experts are expecting the housing supply to be low through 2027. That means this variable will not be helping housing affordability. Let's talk about income. Income is a huge part of affordability because it determines how much money you have to spend on your house payment. If your income is stagnant or going down, you're going to have trouble affording a home. Lately, inflation has been a huge issue. Inflation is basically too much money chasing too few goods. So when we have all the shutdowns with COVID and ships sitting in the harbor, we really had supply issues across every sector of the economy. The car manufacturers couldn't make cars fast enough because of the microchip shortage. Lumber was scarce and a lot of other building supplies. We ran out of toilet paper for a while. So the problem wasn't, for the most part, lack of money. It was lack of stuff. And when there's not enough of something, the price tends to go up. Well, the Federal Reserve has been hiking interest rates to try to slow down inflation over the last 18 months, and they're going to get it under control. When inflation comes down, wage and income growth can happen at a rate that outpaces inflation, and things will start to feel a lot more comfortable for the average person. And when inflation comes down, interest rates should also come down. And those two things, higher real income and lower interest rates, are going to be the key to solving housing affordability. So we've talked about a lot of things. The question I get all the time is, do you think right now is a good time to buy? My opinion is it doesn't look like home prices are going to be crashing anytime soon. They may stay flat, they may go up or down a little bit, but they won't be crashing. So I don't think there's a lot of danger of buying a house now and having it be worth less in the future. Also, life doesn't revolve around ups and downs in the housing market. And everyone has to live somewhere, so if you have a housing need now and you can find a house that you like with a payment you can afford, then I would say go for it. There's quite a few programs out there to help home buyers, from down payment assistance and different financial incentives. So what you should do is reach out to a mortgage lender, get pre-qualified, and see what programs you might qualify for.